Live right now? Humans of the internet, thank you once again for joining us. We had another episode of guyQ Live. We're broadcasting yet again from AskMen headquarters. I, as ever, am Mark, and this, of course, is Briannah. Hi, Briannah.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going?
Great.
High five, see? Nice, good contact.
Good contact.
The guyQ Live high five.
I'm a little taller today.
You are a little bit taller today. Or am I a little bit shorter?
Miracle Grow.
Let's keep them guessing. If you don't know what guyQ is, it's an online forum. Go on there, ask any question you want. We will do our best to answer them. All those questions. We have experts, we have writers, we have smart people. We have a whole bunch of really, really bright people that are going to answer those questions for you. And the beauty is, because it's a Q&A forum, you can jump in there and you can answer the questions yourself as well. If you don't know where it is, Briannah does. She can tell you.
Go to askmen.com/answers. And if you're on our Facebook page, don't forget to hit the live subscribe button so you know every time we're going live, as we are right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it doesn't matter what your question is, ask away. It doesn't matter, really. I mean, do you have questions? We covered it all. We've covered it all. You know, what kind of cold brew to drink when you're speed dating? What kind of bow tie to wear to a gladiatorial blood fest? What kind of carbs to double up on when you're prepping for a Kegel class? How to style your hair like your 8th grade physics professor. All that stuff, you heard me, is important or not. We will answer the questions that you ask. I promise. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can. Our question today is, well, in part, how many girlfriends should you have? But really, is polyamory the way? I'll say it. I'll get it right. Is polyamory the way of the future?
Yeah.
Is monogamy dead? Should you have tons of girlfriends?
Or boyfriends.
Should you have tons of boyfriends? Should you have all the friends? Maybe you should. We're going to talk about it today. Get your questions ready. Get your comments ready. Get your ideas and your brain sauce ready. Pour that all over us. Take 15 minutes. Take 10 minutes. Learn something. It's going to be fun. We have a special guest coming on in just a few seconds. Dedeker Winston, as a matter of fact. She's a relationship coach. She's a writer. She's a model. She's a reality TV star. And she's a poly lifestyle advocate. So she will be extremely helpful to in unpacking this whole thing today. We're excited to have her on. We'll have her on in just a bit. Our question today comes from an anonymous user who asks very simply, very plainly, do open relationships ever really work? So I mean, let's get started. Let's jump in. I mean, it's a good question. We're gonna get right into it. So if everyone could just, oh yeah, perfect, good, great, excellent. Yeah, let's just jump right in here. If we can just, hey guys, how's it going?
Is this
yeah.
the script?
What do you mean?
This situation?
No, it's just we're gonna just have a couple of co-hosts on the show. Hey, that's my Dennis. Hey, how are you? Hey, Noir.
Hi.
Hey, nice to see you.
Guys.
Hey, Stormtrooper. Oh, Leopard Seal's here. Hey, Leopard Seal.
Even Leopard Seal?
Hey,
I thought I
Leopard
was
Seal.
the only co-host.
Hi. Just gonna. You know what? It doesn't really matter. Okay, just because we co-host. Listen, at the end of the day, I don't have an argument about it. But at the end of the day, just because we co-host sometimes doesn't mean I can't co-host with other people, right? Right, guys?
Right.
It's cool.
It's cool.
Everyone else is cool with it.
I think it's cool.
Are you cool with it?
I'm kind of cool with it.
You're okay with it?
I'm down with it.
I mean, we can talk about it more later if you want. But I mean, it's just like I just feel that just because we host the show sometimes. I mean, don't you host the show with Peter?
I guess I do. Oh.
Right?
Wow. I guess I do.
You know, so I kind of felt that like, well, if you're hosting a show with Peter, then I should at least be able to host a show with anybody I want, including Leopard Seal. Hi, Leopard Seal. Okay, guys, we can talk more about co-hosting later. Actually, no, I'll just co-host this one with Briannah today.
Are you sure?
Yeah, today's fine.
Sure?
Yeah, today we'll do just you and I, and then but later on we can go. So anyway, guys, get out of here. We'll talk to you later. Yeah, go. Yeah, just
really?
Yeah. But you can, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna do it with Briannah today.
I'll see you later.
You guys see each other a little later. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll co-host some other stuff later, okay?
It's a bit
Yeah, we'll co-host some other stuff a little bit later. Thank you. A little Akis for you?
A little bit.
It's fine. You know what? I mean, we can. If you don't want to do the co-hosting with other people, we can talk about that too. I'm open to like monogamy, polygamy, whatever you want to do.
I think we can roll with it.
Okay, let's jump in. It's polyamory. That's kind of a weird Latin-Greek combo out there. Actually, it's more correctly, it's multi-amory or polyphilia for you word nerds out there. Open love is what we're talking about. Love is not finite, as some kids think and suggest. Brie, what are your thoughts? For real?
I don't know. Although I think this is a really cool way of the future and it's becoming increasingly more popular, I wouldn't say it's for me.
Okay.
No, it's just because I'm a little bit more of the jealous type when it comes to relationships. And I feel like even in a monogamous relationship, you know, it's very time consuming. There's a lot of, you know, it drains you emotionally in good ways and in bad ways as well. Sure. And it just it takes a lot out of you. I can't imagine ever, you know, investing into yet another person.
I hear you. You know, in theory, I actually think it's more evolved to be polyamorous or, you know, multi-amorous, however you want to. But in practice, I'm not sure it's for everyone. And frankly, I'm not sure how much I could hack it. If I'm single, and I do my own thing, and I date who I want to date, and I expect other people that I'm dating are doing the same thing. So I'm not committed to any one person. I don't necessarily like lock down a partner or partners. I'm just sort of, okay, having a nice time and enjoying my freedom. When it comes time to making a commitment, I think it would be challenging for me, in my head at least, to kind of share that person, and maybe I would like get into that kind of like that jealous vibe. I think that it's challenging. I think that jealousy is kind of the crux of the issue.
It is.
That said,
maybe a little bit.
Monogamy is no walk in the park.
Oh, hell no.
And it's not free of jealousy, and it can be an effing shit show. It really can. So, and it puts a lot of pressure on just two people to be like, okay, it's just you and me. I have to get everything I need from you, and you get everything you need from me, and that's it. And
it's a lot. It's a lot to take. It's a lot on one person's shoulders.
It's a lot to take, and you know what? Statistically, the divorce rate isn't exactly like blowing anybody's hair back. It's not. Monogamists aren't killing it out there. Okay, it's hard to stick it out in a monogamous relationship. So the naysayers, get ready, get your thoughts and ideas ready. I think we evolved a bit to be kind of possessive. There was a time when survival instincts were just like, you know what? If I'm not careful about who you're hooking up with, that threatens my family and like the kids maybe.
Or like maybe I might behead you.
Yeah, or maybe you'll behead me and eat my face.
Yeah.
Feed me to the kids if I'm not like getting enough food for the family.
Right.
But I think we've evolved past that, or I hope
so.
I hope we have. Henry VIII had to kill his wives in order to move on and get some love elsewhere because it was frowned upon.
Well,
the church was like,
that's
nope,
exactly what I'm
this
saying.
is wrong.
Yeah.
He eventually founded his own church just so that he could like remarry, to make like divorce a real thing. So, the guy was really thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pun in there, a dirty one. I'm just tossing it out there. I'm not gonna get into it. We actually have some polyfacts and some myths that I wanted to dispel for the kids out there. This is actually from the website Nylon that I found, the little Insta search.
Yeah, so these are some of the myths.
Some of the myths. Do you want to get the first one?
Okay. Some people think, for some reason, that it's an orgy all the time.
Big orgy all the time. Number one, just constantly Borgfest, crazy sex madness. Not the case. Not the case. It's not just a free-for-all sex fest.
Well, it could be, but not all the time.
It could be, but there's a difference between group sex or orgies and a polyamorous lifestyle.
Of course.
A big difference. You're not necessarily going crazy with the sharing of the love and the thing at the same time. Number two, you can't truly love more than one person because love is finite, not infinite. Not the case. Not true. Apparently love is, in fact, infinite. You can love your mom, you can love your dad, you can love your brothers, your sisters, your friends. I have tons of friends that I love in equal measure and in different ways. Why couldn't we say the same thing for erotic love or emotional, romantic love?
Love is like energy. It can only be recycled, right?
Love is like an energy. It can only be recycled. It can never really die.
And number three, jealousy makes it impossible.
Now this one is a sticker. That's the sticking point.
You know
jealousy is a tough guy.
Yeah.
It's a tough guy. Jealousy exists in monogamy as well. So it doesn't just exist in polygamy, right?
But even outside of relationships, it's everywhere.
It's always.
Workplace,
oh yeah.
Everywhere.
Of course. You're constantly jealous, envious. You see a nice pair of trousers on another fellow, and you say, I wish I had those trousers. I wish those were my trousers.
Not just I admire them, but I wish I had them.
I wish I had them.
And I might chop off your head for them.
Where did he find those trousers? Where can I get trousers like that? He has a thinner leg than I do. I would love to wear those trousers. Jealousy, envy, same creature. Some dark feelings. Myth number four, we're jumping ahead. This is a weird myth that I found online, that is largely for gay couples, that a lot of gay couples are actually more into non-monogamous style relationships, but it kind of gets coupled into alternative lifestyles and even kink and sort of like, so it's just like, oh, it's the other. It's like this other model, the relationship model, so it's the minority, it's out there, it's definitely an alternative lifestyle, it's sort of like over here and not normsies. You know what, it is normsies, apparently, because a lot of people are rocking the polyamory and doing quite well at it and enjoying themselves and in healthy relationships, I feel.
Yeah.
That's not to say there aren't problems with those models or any other relationship model.
Of course not.
We will explore those things with a veritable expert in just a moment.
And now they're saying, okay, number five, you can't just keep adding people to the love circle. They're saying, okay, enough is enough, three's a crowd, two's a party, three's a crowd, 4 or 5, who knows?
That's the thing. People say, well, you can just keep adding people. Well, no. There is, you can't just kind of keep adding people. By and large, I think people who are in non-monogamous relationships, there is a certain, I don't want to say a quota or a cap, but a mindfulness as to how many people you're bringing into your life. Just as you don't have 25 best friends, you probably don't have 25 true love or lovers or partners. So that's a myth. Number 6, it's just a phase. It can't last. You're dabbling. You're exploring. It's not going to work out in the end. Myth. there are tons of long-term couples that have been with a main partner for 20 years and a secondary partner for an additional 10 years, and it all happens at the same time, and people are happy, living beautiful, productive lives, making sweet love to each other and other people, and enjoying love feelings and niceness.
Just spreading the love.
Yeah, just spreading the love, making sure that love gets spread around like a nice pizza sauce, which is great. Why wouldn't we need more love? There's a lot of hate out there. I'd like to see more love. I'd like to see more love get shared. And the last guy.
Well, the last fact kind of ties into that. There's no future in polyamory.
No future in polyamory.
And keep in mind, for those of you just tuning in, these are the myths. These are maybe not true.
This is stuff that we think. Today. Yeah, they say that there's no future in polyamory. You know what? I'm not so sure.
I think that there might be.
Yeah.
Especially for different strokes, as we always say, we got to play the two sides of each coin, like of the actual coin.
I think if we took a time machine to 300 years from now, I think that monogamy, people would be like, wait, what? Why?
What is marriage?
Why do you only had an apple? You only eat apples now? Like you guys just eat apples all the time? You only have apples. Do you like other fruit? Yeah, I love all the fruit. But you only eat apples? Yeah, I just eat apples. I just eat apples all the time.
Yeah.
So there's something maybe there. And one thing that, one last fact, apparently old folks' homes are rife with polyamory. It's a lot of like switching over and the many loves and the nice things. You know what? So maybe grandma and grandpa know best and have finally learned that love is in fact infinite and not finite. Or maybe they're just short in time. They're just like, you know what? F it. I'm going all in. Hard YOLO in the old folks' home. They're just going for it. And God love them. God love them. But you know what? You don't have to listen to me. I'm just a guy with a beard who likes to wear black. And Bree is just a girl in a white dress. Boo! I'm kidding. She's great. We love her. She's fantastic. Probably smarter than old Beardo by a long shot. Let's bring her on. Hi, Denica. Are you with us? There she is.
Yeah, here I am.
Hi.
Hey.
How's it going?
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to you guys for discovering positive polyhostery.
Listen.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Going to be a natural at it.
That leprous is going to kill it. I know. I mean, a little shy, but we'll work with him. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
Thank you for making time. We really appreciate it. I just want to give the folks at home just another reminder of what your whole deal and story is. You're a relationship coach, you're a blogger, you're an author with a new book on the way, a reality TV star, and if any of you at home remember Utopia that was on Fox, Dedeker was on that show as one of the contestants. She's also a model and, of course, a poly lifestyle advocate. We're so happy to have her today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's absolutely our pleasure. So you heard the question, is there really a future? Does polyamory ever really work? Let's jump in. I have some questions. I'm gonna ask a little bit if you're ready for them.
I'm happy.
Okay, so the number one, and this is the main sticking point, it comes up a lot, jealousy. And everything that comes with it, like fear, competition, anger, anxiety, it's such a powerful, visceral, kind of destructive emotion, but one that keeps popping up when we talk about this kind of thing. Can you learn to manage that? You know what I mean? Or should you have a certain non-jealous leaning before you get into a poly lifestyle? I mean, I think this is a really tough one for a lot of men in particular. I think we have some old caveman wiring that makes it tough. Women too. I mean, we were talking about this earlier today. You also, you find it like tough if some guy or a girl is like flirting with your guy, you have trouble with that.
Not exactly have trouble in terms of flirtation, but I think if it went past that, I might, be uncomfortable.
Right.
Maybe I'm not as evolved, and I have to, switch my way of thinking to be involved.
Right.
But as it stands, I don't think that I'm ready for that.
Okay, Dedeker, let's unpack jealousy in this kind of situation.
Okay.
Please help us.
Jealousy, that's the million-dollar question, right?
It's a big one.
The number one question. Always the first question that people ask you. And you guys are very apt to point out that we experience jealousy all the time.
Yeah.
We experience it at work. We get jealous of people at school. We get jealous of our family members. But that's not a deal breaker. We don't head into a new job and think, oh, like if someone else gets a promotion, I might get jealous. Better not take a job. Better not take the job.
Right.
And it's also funny to point out the gender dynamics between women and men, because women typically are painted as more catty and jealous. But really, it's a universal human emotion. We all experience jealousy.
For sure.
And so ultimately it comes down to not whether or not you're capable of feeling jealousy, because we all are. Even people who have been doing polyamory for 10, 20 years will still experience jealousy.
Right.
It becomes about how do you act on that jealousy. When you feel that jealousy, does that motivate you to storm out of the room?
Right.
Does it motivate you to be mean to your girlfriend?
Right.
Or is it an opportunity for you to examine yourself, to kind of really think like, what's actually going on here? What are the insecurities? What are the fears? Can I share those with my partner? Can I ask my partner for the things that I need to feel secure? So the thing is that if you're facing the opportunity to enter into a polyamorous relationship, you have to be ready to take that call of action that jealousy provides to you, of being able to know, like, okay, like maybe I'll be uncomfortable, but that's an opportunity to actually heal myself, to confront my inner demons, to get closer with my partner actually, and to come out the other side as a better and a happier person.
It's interesting, and I mean, yeah, I mean, do you have any sort of tools that can get us there, that can get us past jealousy, or get us, you know, is there a three-step program that like just can shut it off? Because that'd be fantastic. I would love to have that. I just wish I never felt that emotion ever again.
It's like right back here.
Oh God, it's funny.
Oh yeah,
Just like get that a couple times and then it resets and then you're done. That's the secret that we've all been keeping.
There we go.
It's brutal. I mean, it is such a powerful and very ugly emotion. It's disruptive. It's painful. It's like I wish there was a pill or something. Go.
With managing jealousy, there's two sides to it. You know, there's the logical approach to it, where you can kind of change your psychology around it and knowing like, okay, I don't possess this person, and logically accepting like, okay, my partner going on a date doesn't mean that they love me any less. You know, you can definitely internalize the logical side.
Sure.
Of course, you know, your right-brained emotional side doesn't always listen to your logical side.
Right.
So even if you fully swallowed the red pill and you're 100% polyamorous, you can still experience weird emotional twinges of jealousy.
For sure.
And so then from there, it's any number of tactics. You know, you can meditate, you can journal, you can share it with your partner. You know, kind of any of the normal tactics that we use in the rest of our lives for handling jealousy when we experience at work or at school or with a family member or with a friend can still apply to romantic jealousy as well.
Okay. You had a
the next
follow-up.
question I had for you was, what is the biggest misconception when it comes to polyamory?
Oh my goodness, the biggest one.
Yeah, the biggest one.
The number one
big
myth.
one that I come up against a lot is that, you know, you have monogamy, which is, you know, two people, we understand that. And so then polyamory must mean some kind of crazy, weird, Mormon, polygamous, like group marriage with child brides, right?
Yeah.
That must mean that, you know, you guys all have to be co-hosting at the same time every single time you host.
We actually have some child brides that we brought in. Can we bring in the child brides, guys? Just bring them in if we can. Just say, yeah.
So that's a big one, is that people automatically think, okay, well, it's that weird, like, Mormon polygamous group marriage thing. When in reality, you know, group relationships do exist. People have been very happy in triad relationships and quad relationships. The most common relationship format that I've seen is just multiple dyads, multiple two-person relationships that happen to be simultaneous.
Okay. So that's sort of like two partnerships. So sort of like a couple over here, and you guys just hang out and, you know, is that accurate?
Or more so that, like, let's say we were dating, I had another boyfriend and you had another girlfriend, correct?
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that.
Or other boyfriend or whatever.
Or like
You have a
whatever.
girlfriend.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I find it really interesting, and I kind of want to talk about it in a bit, but a multi-amorous lifestyle seems to challenge the idea of a soulmate or finding the one. I know that idea is really archaic and a little bit passé, but what are your thoughts on that whole aspect of like genuinely loving more than one person, you know, being like in love with more than one person? How do you manage that?
It's interesting that you mentioned the word soulmate. It's actually not that archaic of a notion. We didn't even get the word soulmate until 1822. That was the first time it was ever in print. So it's actually a relatively new concept.
Okay.
I mean, the notion of having a deep romantic connection with certain people has been around for ages, but the actual term soulmate, the idea that we're predestined to meet one person who connects with our soul, is relatively new.
Is new.
And of course, there's lots of debate. I saw that you covered this not too long ago.
We did,
about
actually.
do soulmates actually exist? Is it all a myth? Are we all just being delusional?
Right.
And so that's for you to decide on an individual basis. If you do believe in soulmates, what's the problem with having multiple soulmates?
Right.
You know, if you have multiple connections that help you grow, that enhance your life, or sometimes maybe even help strip away your own layers of insecurity in order to figure out what it is that you need to work on, you know, why can you not label those relationships as soulmate relationships?
Right. Because sometimes you meet people that you aren't necessarily romantically linked to, that you just really connect with, that you love in a very platonic fashion. Just like, wow, I'm so happy I met this person. Like, this person's a friend for life now because,
super cool.
yeah, they're just awesome. So, by and large, the same thing can be true for, and I have, you know, I have best friends, I have new friends, I have old friends. I mean, I get it. When you kind of flip the model and like think about friendship or family members that you care about in equal measure, the same thing kind of applies, I guess, for erotic or romantic love, for sure.
Definitely.
So do you think the the best poly model is one strong two-person partnership that remains open but only to casual lovers.
So kind of like more like an open relationship where the idea is that you have one central couple and that's, that's the emotionally monogamous relationship, and then everyone else on the side is just kind of like flings, maybe one night stands, casual sex, things like that. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that kind of model, my perspective on that kind of model is actually that's maybe more of a form of swinging.
Okay.
If you're actually trying to just keep your outside relationships on just a sexual basis, it's definitely more in the swinging category rather than in the polyamory category. Polyamory literally means multiple loves. So the implication is that those outside relationships are love relationships as well. And right now within the poly community, there's still a lot of debate over setting up kind of a hierarchical model to your relationships. The idea of like this is my primary relationship, that's where all the important stuff happens, that's the one I actually love. Then everyone else is secondary and everyone else is tertiary. But if you're actually seeking to have multiple love relationships, that creates conflict very quickly. Because if you think about it, if I came to you and I was like, well, I can't call you my boyfriend, and I can't introduce you to my family, and I can't introduce you to my friends, we probably can't take any vacations together, but hey, let's be in love.
Yeah, it might be a little difficult. Might be a little difficult.
It's not a great sell.
Yeah.
So generally, I tend to steer my clients away from setting up a strict hierarchy. That being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be fiercely egalitarian. The same way that with your circle of friends, it's not like, okay, I gotta spend one day with this friend, one day with this friend, one day with that friend, spend this much money on lunch with that friend, the same amount of money on lunch with that friend.
Right.
Your needs in the relationship are going to shift and they're going to change, and what's really passionate today may not be so passionate 6 months from now. And so instead of trying to set up something that's either fiercely hierarchical or fiercely egalitarian, I really encourage people to just have a sense of being organic and of being flexible when they're approaching multiple relationships.
Okay, that makes sense. In that sort of, on the same vein a little bit, the way that polyamory kind of gets lumped together with, maybe unfairly and probably unfairly, with sort of group sex and, kink or alternative lifestyles. I mean, I kind of want to, you mentioned swingers, and there is a difference. As you said, polyamory means many loves. It doesn't necessarily mean sex specifically or even at all. So how do you kind of like unpack it from that idea that it is kind of kink, it is alternative lifestyle, it is sort of the other, What's your thought there?
I mean, it is interesting because when you describe polyamory to people, the first thing they focus on is, oh my god, you're having sex with multiple people. Oh my god, it must be something kinky. And sometimes it is. Just how monogamous folk, sometimes monogamous folk, are into the swinging lifestyle and they're into group sex. And the same thing with polyamorous folks. Some people are really into the kinky group sex BDSM lifestyle. Some are totally vanilla.
Right.
The new phenomenon that's happening right now in the poly community is actually there's quite a large community of asexual people that are really drawn to polyamory because of the fact that they're able to have a romantic, emotionally involved, serious relationship without expecting their partner to have to deal with never having sex. Their partner can still get those needs fulfilled by other partners. And so the fact that there's so many asexual people getting involved in polyamory would clearly highlight that it's not all about just trying to bang as many people as possible.
Right. Although that is a nice aspect of the...
That can be fun.
It's a nice aspect, the banging with the nice people is enjoyable. I had actually a quick question just regards to the... we mentioned it doesn't always have to do with sex, not always sexual, but there is a sort of idea of like sexual safety and security. It can be an issue. I'm sure that's a big deterrent for a lot of people. You're sort of like, well, how safe is this? Like, should we be having a bunch of sex with a bunch of different people? And like, I mean, obviously safety is paramount, but I want to explore that a little bit. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if jealousy is the number one question, then sex and sexual health is always the number two question.
Right.
And of course, as we all know, any kind of sex is risky. If you really don't want to have any kind of sexual risk, then you don't have sex at all.
Right.
And of course, as you have more partners, whether that's more partners at the same time or just more partners over the course of your life, of course that increases your chances, your risks for catching some kind of disease or some kind of infection that you don't want.
Right.
The funny thing is, there's been studies that have shown that actually people who are in openly non-monogamous relationships are at less risk of catching an STI than monogamous relationships where somebody's cheating.
Because all out in the open, the communication is there.
Exactly. And so definitely what I've found since coming, into poly circles is that people are so much more open about like, okay, well this is who I'm sleeping with, like I'm having unprotected sex with this person we're using condoms for penetrative sex but not for oral sex. This person, had this STI about 5 years ago, so you need to know about that. That when I head into a new sexual interaction, I know what I'm getting myself into.
And everyone's history.
When you're single and casually dating, who offers up that information to you?
Exactly. It's a tough conversation to have right off the bat.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. No, that's interesting though. That is really interesting. Did you have another question?
So do you think polygamy is the way of the future? Or the way of the future in terms of dating? Is monogamy dying?
Yeah, is monogamy dying out? Like, is it archaic? Is it an outdated notion? Is it? I don't know.
As far as the future of dating and future of relationships, I don't look at polyamory as a model and think that, well, that's just a more evolved way. That's where we're all heading. It's just inherently better. What I would want to see in the future of dating is more an awareness that there's more options than just monogamy.
Right.
Because we're all kind of culturally trained to think that, well, this is the one-way relationships are supposed to look.
That's the way.
It's all supposed to be first date, then more dates, then sex, then living together, then married, then kids, then death.
Right.
And not everybody wants to follow that same path. And so that's what I would want to see for the future of dating is that more people are able to bring consciousness to their dating choices and relationship choices, even if that means monogamy. The idea that I can consciously choose monogamy, not just because it's a default, not because I have never questioned it, but because now I know that that's what I want.
Right.
So that's something that I would want to see. As far as the idea that polyamory is more enlightened goes, I actually disagree with that. I do think that in order to have successful relationships in general, you need to have enlightened qualities. Such as emotional management, such as good communication, such as vulnerability. But that's not exclusive just to polyamory.
That's fair, absolutely, 110%. I think the cartoons in general, just sort of like Disney alone is responsible. Disney, like just like this idea of like the one perfect magical match, that one
media in general.
Media in general. So I'm excited for them to actually create a Disney or a Pixar cartoon where it's like just a bunch of people together, like a poly cartoon would be great.
5 years out, 10 years out, probably further.
Maybe
years out.
20. I'm gonna say 20. I'm gonna ballpark 20 or so.
Okay, it's a bet. We'll meet back here in 20 years.
Sounds good. And then the other thing that I would like to take some questions from our viewers at home. I have a question for you though. Would you ever find yourself in a monogamous relationship ever again, or is that like just not doable for you?
It's funny that you say "find myself" as though it would like be a surprise. Like, oh, I found myself.
Yeah. Oh, weird. Yeah. Why am I wearing this hat? Yeah.
Who knows who I'm going to be 20 years from now when we meet up again to talk about Pixar.
Perfect.
That being said, at this moment right now, it is difficult for me to picture myself in a monogamous relationship again. I've been polyamorous for about 5 or 6 years now, and it's kind of become my default, And it's funny because I've had a lot of people who come to me and insist like, well, once you find the right person, then it's going to change everything.
Right.
And I kind of call bullshit on that, to be honest, because I had some very deep, very connected, very intimate relationships, and when it came to time when they asked me, I want to be monogamous, that I've said no. And as painful as it is to say no to someone that I love, it's part of who I am. It's part of who I function.
Sure.
And so I don't know if that's going to change.
It's very interesting, the whole idea of like, well, you just haven't found the right person yet. A lot of my gay friends, their parents and grandparents are still saying that to them about finding the opposite gender. Yeah, just like, you'll find the right girl. And they're just like, I don't think that's gonna. Great, I love all the knowledge, all the information. I want to take some questions from our viewers at home if we can. Alex, my producer, has some questions for us. Fire away there.
Liz wants to know, how do you find your soulmate if you're involved with multiple people?
Okay, so that's back to did you hear the question, Dedeker?
I did, yes.
Okay, so how do you find your soulmate if you're involved with multiple people? That's Liz's question. What do you think? And then we can talk a little bit about soulmates.
It goes back to our soulmate discussion, the idea that maybe there's multiple soulmates. Kimchi Cuddles, who is a webcomic artist who's very pro-poly, pro-genderqueer, she wrote a comic where the punchline of it was basically that. It's like, oh, I found my soulmate. I just didn't stop looking for the other ones after I found my soulmate.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, for me, the thing that resonates the most is the idea of, and this is maybe a bit glib and maybe not the best analogy, it's not, the smartest analogy, but it's sort of like enjoying a food and only having that food forever now. Like I love pad thai, and just like, okay, that's it, I'm done with everything else, it's pad thai from now on, it's all it's illogical I mean, it's just, it doesn't make sense. And as much as I love pad thai,
Even one of my friends who's involved in a polyamorous relationship, actual marriage, has said it's just, you know, we both agreed that we just like variety, and that's it. We love each other, but we just like variety.
Yeah, but Mark, I mean, someday you'll find the right dish.
I mean, I hope so. I hope so. I mean, if it's not pad thai, I don't know what it is.
Actually, you just haven't found the right one.
Yeah, if it's not, seriously, if it's not pad thai, I genuinely don't know.
It's out there.
Maybe the food love is just not for me. More questions and comments from the kids at home.
Joe wants to know, what's your opinion on one-night stands as a lifestyle? I.e., someone not interested in any kind of long-term relationship, but wants to bounce from partner to partner.
Okay, so Joe asks, just in case people at home didn't hear, what's your opinion on just one-night stands as a lifestyle? Sort of just bouncing around, never really committing to any one person. Essentially being single and free, and that's it, but never having a strong partnership with anyone. Thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously different structure, different folks. You know, there's definitely, as much as there is an asexual community, there's also an aromantic community. The idea that they just don't feel a need to have romantic feelings, or they just don't feel romantic feelings.
Right.
And so I guess my only thing with that is if that's the choice for you, if you've discovered that, you know, just having one-night stands is what you want, the most important thing is to be upfront about that. You
Nice.
know, and if that's truly what's making you happiest, is to make sure that whoever your partners are aware of that as well, so that they can fully consent to being in that, you know, very short-term relationship with you.
Right. I want to meet the guy who's like only romance. It's just only romance. He's just buying flowers for everyone he meets. It's just like, he's like, hey, can we go on a date? Just constant hardcore romance, moonlight drives, everything is just romance all the time. That's the guy.
One of those Disney movies for sure.
Disney movie guy.
One of those Disney movies.
One more question if we can.
This is pretty interesting, bringing the science aspect.
Science, bring the science.
Where
Bring the
Allison
science.
is talking about allele 33 and
Okay.
whether or not people are genetically primed to be polyamorous.
Is there a genetic component to being polyamorous? What are your thoughts, Dedeker?
That's a hard call to make. There hasn't really been enough studies. You know, like we've done multiple studies as far as one, sexual orientation and whether or not that's genetically programmed or not. There hasn't really even been enough research about whether or not someone's programmed for non-monogamy or programmed for monogamy. You know, some people would even make the argument that humans just in general are built to be non-monogamous.
Right.
But then at the same time, other people would argue that humans are built to be monogamous. So unfortunately, we can't make a call. I will say that, you know, there's definitely people who, once they find non-monogamy, it's instantly the lights come on. They're like, oh my goodness,
Right.
like, I felt this way my whole life. This is so refreshing.
Right.
And some people, it's more of an uphill battle. So there's definitely differences in who's kind of has an easier time jumping in than not. As far as if that's genetically linked, we just don't know yet.
I find that interesting. I mean, as I'm a little older, and I'm actually a senior citizen. I'm in my twilight years now. I'm about 76. So as I age, as I ease into the winter of my life, I find that I'm kind of more open to the idea, having been so many times, finding myself with frustrated expectations in a monogamous model, that I'm just sort of like, well, maybe that's just not the thing. I mean, at the same time, I think I do struggle against it, but I'm not opposed to kind of exploring that idea because, well, maybe that's just not. I obviously haven't found, you know, the right pad thai. So, what do you do? What's a beardo to do? You know, but
Try some chicken fruit king.
yeah, just, you know, maybe try some pad thai and a little General Tao on the side at the same time. I don't know. You know, why? Why not? That's an interesting idea. More questions, more comments if we can.
Christopher wants to know, how old are you? Because he doesn't believe that you're 76.
I will not reveal the age, Christopher. I apologize. You can private message me. We can have a little banter about it. But I'm not going to tell you. If you guys, you can guess my age, and maybe I'll answer. But I like to keep the kids guessing.
Keep them guessing.
They have no idea.
Be a little mystery.
The beard, the salt and pepper. No one has any idea. I like that. I like that.
Sean wants to know, how do you have a family if you're in a polyamorous relationship?
This is
It's a
interesting.
great question.
Family, kids, polyamory. How do you do it?
Plenty of people raise kids within polyamorous contexts. Plenty of people do. Either they may choose, if they're, for instance, maybe they're in a triad relationship or in a quad, they may choose to raise children together. And then, you know, multiple adults raising kids, which makes the job of parenting a little bit easier.
Right.
Some people will choose, maybe I'm just going to cohabit with one partner and have kids with one partner, but we still both have our other partners who may or may not be part of the child-rearing process.
Right.
Elizabeth Scheff, about 2 or 3 years ago, she published this great book called Polyamorous Next Door, and she compiled 15 years worth of research into polyfamily specifically, and found, just as the research has found that kids raised by same-sex parents aren't any worse off, Same thing with kids that are raised in a polyamorous household.
I would assume that, I mean, the thought that comes to mind is like how many kids are raised in a household where like dad or mom is cheating their brains out and there's no communication, and that's hugely disastrous for the kids, obviously.
Or even with kids who are children of divorce, because sometimes we're raised with two moms or two dads, and they're not necessarily within a couple.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's it's all the way you nurture your child and the way you teach them.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing is we're more comfortable with the idea of a single mom raising children than we are of multiple adults coming together to raise children.
It takes a village, I say.
It does take a village.
A village that is having sex with each other. No, I'm just kidding. A village that is just enjoying each other's treats on a daily basis. It's fine. Hey, if it works, it works. One more question or comment if we can, just quick before we end up here.
Well, Sheila's saying, wait until the kids are grown and out, then spice things up.
Wait, okay, someone
So
says,
polyamory and
wait until the kids are grown and then spice things up. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you have to bring your 5-year-old into like the living room and be like, okay, well, mommy and daddy are going to be exploring other options now. Like, I think logically you can kind of have that conversation, at a later time when the kid is.
They understand.
I mean, that kind of underlies this assumption that this is only to spice things up, that this is just a sex thing. And honestly, that's the reason why there are custody battles. People have had their children taken away because judges think that, this is a weird kinky sex thing, when actually it's not. Most successful poly parents are not having sex in front of their children. They're not telling their children about how they're spicing up their sex lives. Right. It's just more of a family.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I feel like we could like riff and talk about this all day. We'll do one more question just because I just find it interesting.
So interesting.
What are the kids out there saying, Alex?
Well, basically, Kristen's saying like there's a lot of people who try this, but it doesn't work out for them. Why? Like, what are the most common reasons why it fails?
Yeah, I mean, some people try it, it doesn't work out. I mean, Dedeker, we can pick that. I mean, it's not for everyone, I don't think. Maybe.
Some people try monogamy and it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Hey, good point.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like if your first monogamous relationship ended, no one tells you, well, don't go back to monogamy.
Right. Right.
Because my first polyamorous relationship imploded horribly.
Amazing. Do share.
Bad.
Let's get into that. No.
But even so, I still knew that this was something that made me so happy, that this was what I wanted to focus on.
Right.
And so of course, just the same way that any relationship can dissolve, people can have mismatched expectations, people can be incompatible, people can outgrow each other, people can break each other's trust. Just because it's poly doesn't mean that it's immune to any of the shitty things that people do in relationships.
Yeah, or life. Humans are assholes everywhere you go, and sometimes they're beautiful and wonderful and magical, right?
Sure. Yes.
Right. Dedeker, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to take a bit of time to let the people at home know where to find you if they want to find you, and know where to read more from you or see more from you. Please tell them.
Yes, definitely. So I have an ongoing weekly podcast with 2 other co-hosts. That's the Polyamory podcast, which you can find on iTunes, on Stitcher, any place you find podcasts. You can also go to our site, polyamory.com. You can go to my site, dedekerwinston.com, in order to find out more about my one-on-one coaching services that I do for people who are interested in transitioning into a non-monogamous lifestyle.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. And is there a book coming out as well soon?
Yes. I have a book, actually, a whole comprehensive guide to polyamory, non-monogamy, alternative relationships. It's going to be coming out 2017.
Very, very cool.
February 2017.
And what's it called? What's the working title so far?
Oh, it is a long title.
It's a long one? Lay it on us. Give us the book.
The title is The Smart Girl's Guide to Polyamory, everything you need to know about non-monogamy, open relationships, and alternative love.
Very, very nice. Is it for smart boys as well, or just smart girls?
It's for smart boys.
Okay, nice. Thanks once again for joining us. Really appreciate it. We will put some links to your site and to your book as well, and all the information that you share with us. And I'll put a reference article from AskMen as well about polyamory. Dedeker, we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully you'll come back and talk to us a bit more about this.
Yes, definitely. Would love to.
Be good.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. So you can check out the comment section. We're going to toss some information in there, reference information, articles, where to find Dedeker, where to find more information on polyamory, how to make it work, the stuff you need to know before you jump in and start sharing with everyone. Do you have anything else to add? Anything more that you want to talk about?
I think we pretty much covered the latter.
I feel like we had a lot of good questions, a lot of it's interesting. I don't know if the comments were largely positive because they get filtered out, but I want to know what people think out there, and I'm going to check out the comments, so let me know. Please come back and join us on Friday. We're going to be talking with Laurel House about how to get a date no matter what. Doesn't matter what you look like, who you are. We're going to tell you how to get a date, even if you think you're unlovable and you're fugly. You're not. You're not. I'll tell you right now.
We'll teach you.
We love you and we'll teach you. Thanks very much. Bye, everyone. See you next time on guyQ Live. Be good. Thanks for joining.